Alright, so what is up guys? Today we're going to be talking about what is break and continue keywords, which can be used in the statements such as if and else. So let me just make a script here real quick, and I'm going to be using a for loop. The reason why we use break and continue keywords is to like alter the iteration. So if you were to like skip an iteration or break an iteration, like break the loop when a certain thing has happened, then we use break. And if you want to skip it, then we use continue. So let me just make for I equals to 1. Let's iterate it to 5 and then do print I. So if you run this code, it's just gonna print the numbers 1 to 5. And let's say I wanna break this loop when I equals to let's say I want to break this loop when I equals to 2. So I'm gonna type if I equals to 2, then break. And let me wait, give me a second. Print I. Yep. Alright, so it prints only 1. The reason why it only prints 1 is because when it's iterating the value I from 1 to 5, it is actually 1 2 3 4 5. But here we made a conditional statement, which is if I equals to 2, then we put break. And the break, what the break does is like it stops this whole thing. So whatever is here, like after the break keyword, whatever code you have written, it won't run it. So if I were to put this print, if I were to put it before the conditional statement if and run this, it will do 1 2 because you understand, right? Yeah, so basically if I equals to 2, then it will break. So once it's 2, it even prints 2 here because we have put the print statement above the break statement. And let me just stop this, and we're going to be using how to use the continue keyword. So if I equals to, let's say 4, then continue print I. By the way, the code you write after the break and continue keywords are really important because as I've shown you guys that if you put the print before the break statement, it will actually run the code even if the conditional statement is true. So we put if I equals to 2, and then we put break, but we wanted the loop to stop, but since we put the print statement before the break keyword, it printed I equals to 2. So that's why we got 2 here. So it really depends where you put the code. Since I'm putting it after the continue keyword, this thing will run first and then the print statement. So let me show you guys what happens. So it prints 1 2 3 5. So we can see here that it has skipped the number 4 since we put the continue keyword. Let me try one more thing. And if you were to merge both of the keywords, you put else if I equals to, let's say 2, then break. Not break, or let's put continue here and put break here. Yeah, and run this. So we can see here that it prints only 1 3 since we have broken the loop at I equals to 4. So it stops printing, it doesn't go to 5. And here we put another conditional statement else if I equals to 2 and then continue, so it doesn't print 2. Basically it skips whatever condition you have given here. It doesn't break the loop, it just skips it and then goes back to the loop here. So the cursor goes from here to here and then reads, if this is true, then it reads this. Since it's break, it stops this whole thing and goes outside the for loop, which is it goes here. Since I is not equals to 4, like when I equals to 1, this condition is false, and then it just prints I, since this is also false. So once I equals to 2 in the for loop, it reads this again, which is false, and then it reads this. Since this condition is true, it continues, which means that it skips the iteration I equals to 2, and it doesn't just run this code anything else. It goes back from this cursor, it goes back to the for loop again, and then the for loop turns I value to 3, and then it does the same thing again. So cursor moves from here to here, checks if the condition is true, which is false, so it skips this if statement, goes to else if, reads this again, it's false, goes here, and then prints I equals 3. And then once it's I equals 4, it comes back here, I equals 4, which is true, so it breaks the loop and then goes back here. I mean, my bad, it breaks the loop and goes back here, goes to there. So this is how we implement break and continue keywords into our code. Let me show you guys like where you guys can actually use this. Let's say I have a model here, a part here, and then let's say I have another part here. Yeah, just let's put it like that, and I'm gonna put them in a folder. So Control Alt G is a shortcut to put selected items into a folder. I'm just gonna put the script inside the folder so I can understand it better. And I'm gonna define some variables. Local folder equals script.parent, and let's run a for loop inside of the folder. Get children. So here what I want to do is, let's say I wanna weld both of these parts. So if I were to weld both of these parts, I need to make an instance weld constraint. So let me just make a variable here. Alright, so once this is done, I've just changed the name of one part to main, because both the parts are named as part, so the script won't really understand which one is part unless we put this first find chart. Alright, so if I were to run this code, do you guys think that it will just actually run this, or will it like show any kind of an error? If you think that it shows an error, try to think what error is it. So I'm just running a for loop inside of the folder, and then I'm using the weld constraint. By the way, weld constraint, it only works for base parts, meshes, such like that. So it doesn't work for folders. Like if I had a folder here inside, it will not work for that. So I cannot put a weld constraint with the part 0 associated with the folder, because that's wrong. So if you guys think that there's an error, so just comment down. I'll be really happy to see that you guys are learning. And yes, yeah, it shows an error. Expected base part got script for weld constraint dot part 0. What this error says is that since it's iterating the for loop inside of this folder, it's gonna scan for every single object which is inside this folder. Since we have one object which is a script, we cannot associate the part 0 of the weld constraint to that of the script, because that's wrong. Like you can't do that. So part 0, part 1 has to be connected to a base part itself, or a part or mesh. Can't be anything else. It's like script folders or whatever models. You can't do that. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the continue keyword. So the code just came here. Let me just put tab. Yeah, so if v is a base, no, if v is a script, then continue end. So what it's gonna do is that it will check if the instance v belongs to that of the script. So if v is a script, then it will just skip it. Let me just run this. Yeah, so there's no error. And if I were to go back here, I can see that there's weld constraint in both of these, and the part 1, part 0 and part 1 are there. And since you guys saw another error, that the main part was welded to itself, so I'm gonna put another conditional statement here. if v, oh wait, I can just add it to this. So if v is a script or v dot name equals to main, then continue end. Okay, so here we can see that the main base part does not have a while constraint, whereas the part has a while constraint. So this is how we use break and continue keywords in when you're like programming or something like that. Usually it's not much used unless you're indulging yourself into combat scripts, or maybe let's say some kind of a data store kind of script, or something which involves a lot of loops, if you guys understand what I mean. If you have a lot of loops in your game, you need to use this at some point. Maybe not in all the loops, but maybe one or two you need to use this continue and break. Okay, and kindly remember the syntax for break and continue. You can't just put break outside the loop. You need to put it, I mean, you can't put break outside the statement. It has to be inside the if statement. And also another thing I can tell you is that it does not have to just be one line. Like it shouldn't be just, put continue keyword in the statement. We can even put other pieces of code such as print skipped. So you can see it says skip 2 times because obviously we have 2 conditions here which are true, and it prints skip 2 times. But you cannot put any code after this inside of the if statement. If I were to do that, I don't think it should print that, but I really never tried it. Yeah, so it shows an error, expected end to close. Yeah, so basically you can't do that. You can't put any pieces of code just after continue and break keywords. You can put it outside the if statement, which is after the continue break statement, keywords such as this, and this is how you use continue and break statements into your programming language or your game or whatever. Yeah, so thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys have any doubts, questions, or queries or whatever regarding anything based on my previous videos or whatsoever, just comment down below. I will reach out to you, and I might most probably just comment down the entire answer instead of waiting for your answer. So it would be better if you could just tell me the entire problem in once instead of writing in a lot of comments and making me wait. So yeah, thank you guys. See you guys. Bye bye.